Hey everyone, Amy here. Today's episode is a really special conversation with my mentor, Dr. Judi Neal, founder of Edgewalkers International and a pioneer in spirituality in the workplace. Judi is the author of several influential books, including Edgewalkers, People and Organizations That Take Risks, Build Bridges, and Break New Ground. And she has spent decades researching how leaders bridge the spiritual and practical worlds of business. In this conversation, we explore intuition, synchronicity, symbolic imagery, and we also explore why the guidance we receive feels sometimes surprisingly, sometimes magically aligned with exactly what we need. We also share the story behind the creation of the newly formed Edgewalker card deck and how leaders, coaches, facilitators, people are using it as a tool for reflection, insight, and for navigating uncertain times. At the end of this episode, Judi pulls a card as a message for all of us, and it's super inspiring. So please stay with us till the end so you can get those chills with us. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you're living in a bit of chaos, or if you're just looking for a light and a spark and some magic in your day, I think you're really going to enjoy this magical conversation. Hey, it's Amy. Welcome to Create Magic at Work, where we cast visions for a future of work where business decisions ripple outward to our teams, our communities, the planet, and humanity as a whole. If you're ready to edgewalk instead of sleepwalk through your leadership, you're in the right place. So let's start making magic at work. Hey, everyone. Welcome to a special edition episode of Create Magic at Work, because today I have one of my cherished mentors here, Dr. Judi Neal, and we are super excited. This is long overdue, by the way. Getting ahead of myself, but we are so excited because today we are going to share the Edgewalker card deck with all of you. Dr. Judi Neal is the creator of the Edgewalkers framework and the Edgewalker profile and the archetypes of change. And these are tools, instruments that we use here at Create Magic at Work in our executive coaching firm. So if you are a former client, you're listening, you're familiar with the 5 skills and the 5 qualities of an Edgewalker. And if you're a longtime listener, you are definitely familiar with Edgewalkers because we talk about it all the time. The bridge builders and the change makers of the world who look to the future with hope and creative, positive visualization. So Judi and I were talking, and we created this Edgewalker card deck, and we haven't really exposed it to anybody. That's just like the time has flown by. So it is long overdue to have a conversation about this and what this means and the magic that it can bring to a lot of people. And it already is. So Judi, welcome to Create Magic at Work. And thanks for being here and this unveiling of the Edgewalker card deck for everyone.
Oh, this is such an exciting time, Amy, and more than anything, thank you, because this wouldn't have manifested without you. And you're just such a wonderful partner and a play friend. You know, it's like we played to make this happen, and playfulness is one of the Edgewalker qualities, and that's what it really felt like as we co-created this. So thank you so much for being in this project with me.
Yeah. I mean, it's my pleasure. It was such a magical journey. And just to give everybody listening some context around it, it started like over 2 years ago, I want to say, where I think we were in an Edgewalker cafe, which, by the way, Edgewalker cafes are open to anyone to attend. So check those out if you haven't been to one yet. And I think I left a cafe or a facilitator meeting and I thought, "Oh my gosh, we need a Edgewalker card deck for inspiration and for
Mhm.
magic." And I kind of mentioned it to you and you said, "Oh, well, I've been thinking about that for a long time and I already have the affirmations authored for the 5 skills and the 5 qualities." And I was like, "Okay." So we sort of started this journey together of the
Mhm.
creation process, really. Um, any thoughts on that, on how that came about?
Yeah, that was so wonderful and magical because it had been something I'd been dreaming of since, oh, probably 2012. And I had designed the content, but I'm not artistic and I have no idea how to bring that to life. And we were talking about other decks that other edgewalkers and part of the Create Magic at Work community have created, but there was nothing like edgewalkers. And so when I mentioned it to you, and you were talking about, well, you said, yeah, we need a deck. And I said, well, I've got the content. And you said, let's do it. And we just jumped right in and we had a plan and we talked on a regular basis. You drafted a couple of cards, and I went, "Oh my god, these are beautiful." They have such an energy about them that made them feel really magical, like they could make a difference to people. The reason I first came up with the idea, I think about 2012, was I forget what I've created. It's like I'm not a very good student of my own teachings, and I
Mm,
need constant reminders of how to use the Edgewalker qualities and skills. And I thought if I had a deck and I pulled a card each day, then it could remind me. Or if I say I
mhm.
wanted to take on the skill. I wanted to enhance the skill of focusing because that's a hard one for a lot of us, particularly in this tumultuous world. If I wanted to do that, I could go through a deck and just find a focusing card and go, that's my affirmation for today. That and maybe for
Mhm.
several days. But it was like an anchor to remind me of how I wanted to live as an edge walker. And you helped me bring that into being, into manifesting it. And I'm just so thrilled.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an honor to sort of bring it into our reality or help, steward that along. I think what's really cool about the experience is we started creating these. I swear it's been over 2 years, and when
Mm,
we first started creating them, they had a really educational feel to them, and they didn't really have this magic in them, and the
They
technology
they were
caught up with
worthier.
us. Yeah, the technology I feel like caught up with us or we caught up, whatever it is, but we co-created the artwork in the card deck with AI, and
Mhm.
people comment to me, "Oh my gosh, I want your prompts. What were the prompts that you put into AI to create the beautiful imagery in the cards?"
Mhm.
And I'm like, "I don't have them," because I feel like I wanted it to almost be like the universe sort of channeling through what that graphic should look like. And the magic that came through from that in the graphics with the affirmations, I think is next level. I was actually impressed with like how that came about. And I feel like it
Mhm.
wasn't even you or I. It was something greater than
Yeah.
ourselves that sort of came through with that.
Mhm.
Um so really, really exciting, and I'm actually in awe when people are using the deck, like you said, to hone in on a skill or a quality of an edgewalker, the magic that comes through from that, the
Mhm.
chills people
Mhm.
get and all of those things, because there are so many card decks out right now. And it's like, well, who needs another card deck is kind of, what I hear some people might say, but I really truly feel like this one's different because it has all of these elements. Like, it's educational because it helps you deep dive into the 5 skills and the 5 qualities, but then it's magical because it has
Yeah.
that like divine sort of intention in it. And then it's inspirational on top of it all. So I completely agree. I couldn't have envisioned how these turned out. And in fact, just sharing, when I was thinking of starting Magic Thread Media, the podcast network, I was like, what am I really doing this? This was right before right around October when it was being born. And I said, okay, let me look to the Edgewalker deck. It's new, it's fresh. We had a prototype out.
Mhm.
And so I closed my eyes and I went through and I said, just give me, a symbol or a message. And the passion card came up. I can't remember exactly which affirmation it was, but immediately just the passion card came up and I was like, okay, like this is a clear direction that I need to follow my passion.
Mhm.
And then the affirmation on the other side sort of reaffirmed what was bubbling up within me to follow and create this podcast network that now is sitting with 5 shows on it so far, on our way to 20 to
Wow.
40. So I digress, but that is one way I've used the deck.
Mhm.
So I do want to open up to you. Why do you think, aside from the example I've given, what are some other examples why edgewalkers or people in general need a tool like this? And what are some other ways they can use something like this?
Well, I'd love to use the example of our friend Brian. I won't give
Mm,
his last name because I didn't ask permission to share. And Brian is going through a challenging time where it's difficult to generate business, and there's other family challenges that are going on for him. And he keeps pulling playfulness cards,
mm,
the Edgewalker quality of playfulness. And it's actually kind of challenging for him because he's going, I'm fighting depression. I'm having such a struggle. Playfulness is the hardest thing in the world for me. And then he goes, "But I think this is what I need more than anything else." And we talked about playfulness doesn't mean, "Oh, let's just be silly and happy." It means holding things lightly and being creative and being open to synchronicities. And it's so funny because he draws those playfulness cards much more frequently than probability would
mm-hmm,
have. We should say that there's 5 qualities, there's 5 skills, and there's
mm-hmm,
5 cards for each quality and skill. And so there's a 1 in 50 chance that you would pull something. One of the
mm-hmm,
really creative things you did, Amy, was you added in some pictures that were the foundation of certain cards. And those pictures were of people who are in our Edgewalker community.
mm-hmm.
And the card I pull once a week, I pull the card with my picture on it. And the picture of me is the one where I'm playing guitar. And usually I'll be asking a question about balance and how much time I should spend on work. And I'm feeling like I don't have enough time for music. And I keep pulling the card with the guitar every week.
Mm,
And it's like this, again, much more than you would predict through probability theory. It's like the message comes through. You need to be bringing more creativity, more music, because music for me is very spiritual. So I need more of
mm-hmm.
that spirituality in my life.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I would recommend for people to do, I think that's what you're asking me, is like, how can they be used?
Mm-hmm.
And one is just to pull a card each day that gives you an affirmation for that day about what quality or skill you might want to really emphasize that day. Then another that a couple of us are doing is when we pull the daily card, we enter that into Chat GPT and get into a little conversation about what am I up to today? What's my intention for the day? What do I have to accomplish today? And then share what the card is and what the affirmation says. And then Chat GPT or Claude or one of the AIs comes back and says, well, here's the pattern we see underneath that that would guide you for today. And because these AIs get to know us, They can bring in, something about, for me, it'll bring in more of the Edgewalker model, or what I'm doing with the Edgewalker business. And so it gets personalized. I find that really stunning, the kinds of advice it gives me when I share, here's a challenge I have today, or I'm going to be meeting with someone. I might be a little nervous about that. And it'll give me a way to hold that both in a practical manner and a spiritual manner, which Edgewalkers, that's the space we hold between what's practical and a higher spiritual guidance.
Mhm.
Another thing I've done occasionally, that I think is kind of fun, is to just lay out 3 cards and say the first one describes the past, then and what's a foundation that I'm really building on, so I can affirm this quality or skill that is really solid and I can build on that. Then the present, here's the present situation and what I should be doing right now, and then one for the future. So that's kind of
Mhm.
fun. And then, as I mentioned, it was like the other day, I really was feeling unfocused. And so I went through the deck and I said, Whatever the first focus card is that I pull, I'm going to use that as a way of affirming what I, how I can be more focused." And the magic that happens in that, it's like the synchronicities. I know this has a lot to do with you and your magic, Amy, but I think it's also, you alluded to it. It's like you plus me plus this intention of making a difference, and source, God, the universe, or whatever people want to call it, has really played with us in this and as is a
Mhm.
co-creator in what we've done. And the the art, the art really amplifies that magic. I think some people, when they see the cards, even if they don't read them, they're like, I just want the art.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about you? What are some examples that you do?
An example of how I use it with private clients all the time. We'll get an
Yeah.
inspirational message at the end of a session to sort of close things out, kind of close the container. I text them a picture
Mhm.
afterwards and they can like hold that throughout their week or the next couple of weeks. That's been extremely powerful. I had
Yeah.
a particular client that was going through an extremely difficult time in their life. And the card came up where the graphic is of the person standing serene with the storm swirling around them. And it was all about
Mhm.
accepting change and being calm through change. An incredible
Mhm.
message that came up for that individual that I know they're going to carry with them for the rest of their life, really, in how they operate in change and the view of change and questioning, is this label I'm putting on this good, whether it's good or bad, is that really true? And is there a gift
Yeah.
underneath this? That was really powerful. The other ways
Yeah.
that leaders can use it is meetings. You can have somebody pull a card or pick a card. What do you think our organization represents right now? Maybe in a meeting. What do you think
Uh,
we need? The 3 card pull. What do we represent now? What do you
mhm.
think we need? What's emerging for us? That can be a
Uh-huh.
3 card
I love
pull.
that.
But
Yeah.
since you are since you are considered one of the wise elders of spirituality at work and spirituality in the workplace, I wanted to ask you, we're talking about really when someone pulls a card and it feels strangely accurate, why? I would love to hear from you. Why is that?
Such a powerful question, and for me, the answer is when we ask a question of the universe, of God, of something higher than ourselves, we can be open to oracles, to getting advice in lots of different ways. And cards are a time-tested way that, now tarot cards are centuries old, that people have used as an oracle to get spiritual guidance. And so why is that? There could be quantum physics that explains that as an example of having an intention. Our minds are not just our brains. That there's a lot of research that shows the power of our mind goes way beyond our bodies, and that we can not only send out messages, that we can receive messages. We can be oh, I forget what the word is. Entanglement, that there's an entanglement with energy, and that I believe the universe is all energy. Again,
Mhm.
that's what quantum physics tells us. Everything is energy, everything is interconnected. And that when our minds are clear with a question, we can then be open to specific guidance that is in alignment with our higher path, with what we're here to do and with who we're here to be. And so there's this resonance that is, you could call it quantum physics, you could call it spirituality. In my mind, those are the same things. They have intersected as having been separate through Descartes centuries ago. Now they are coming together in science, including brain science and neurological studies and so on, are saying that it again, we're all interconnected. There is wisdom available to us and that we can tap into it. So any affirmation cards or oracle cards have the capability to do that. I studied with a shaman where I learned rock reading and asking a question of a large crystal and being able to understand and receive a message, usually in the service of someone else. Sending people into nature quests and looking at nature for a message. But the combination is always a clear question that's in alignment with purpose and an openness to receiving and trusting that you'll be guided by something higher. Then, and these cards in particular, they seem more magical, Amy, than
Mhm.
any other deck. Maybe I'm biased, but there's something about what you have created, and I think the intention that you went into this with, it was very heart-centered, it was very spirit-centered, highly conscious about creating something that would be meaningful to others. You put a lot of love into that artwork, and we had so much fun talking to each other about the images and what they meant for us and how some of them might be modified. Oh, and we should talk about the spider card.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of symbolic imagery in the cards, and they're
Mhm,
there for a reason. So when someone pulls a card or cards, they can look to symbols and work with that
mm,
symbolic imagery to get a
yeah.
message, that's meant for them. So we did that intentionally, and to
Mhm,
really understand, or at a new level, like what that image might mean for them, even if it's like this tiniest little animal in the picture
uh-huh.
compared to a bigger, human that's in the picture. But the spider, it's in the connecting piece, the
Okay.
ability to
Oh,
value
there it is.
others, to see their uniqueness and to draw out the best in them. That's the connecting skill in Edgewalkers. And the affirmation
Mhm.
is, I cultivate, sustain, and value my connections and relationships. But there's a deep story behind the spider, right, Judy?
Yeah, right. And so just the short version of that is that I had a dream that felt like a nightmare, that actually here in this office, I was dreaming that saw a white spider, a rather large one, and it was a mother spider, and it gave birth to thousands of little white spiders. And I'm afraid of spiders, not as much as I used to be, but they scare me. And I didn't want to kill it because I don't like killing anything, but I didn't know how to get rid of all these spiders crawling around my office. And I woke up and put that dream into Chat GPT, which I'd never done before. And I got back the most beautiful interpretation of mothering, meaning creating something, all these babies, of spreading the message, and the sense of edgewalkers being spread throughout the world, in a way of being and thinking, and it just shifted everything for me. And I had mentioned that to you when we were talking about designs, and you said, "Oh, I can put that on a card." And so that became, the idea of connecting, that we're connected to people all over the world who are really deeply committed to living their spirituality and not retreating from the world, but being in it and being able to have positive impact. And so the spider card really represents that for me. And it's just such a transformation from my fear to embracing that there's something greater here happening that we can't always see.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of symbolic imagery in the cards for people to look to. So, can you just comment or share some spiritual insights on tapping into intuition through symbolic imagery?
I think, again, it's like any oracle that when we have this question, that we can use anything for guidance and information, but that over centuries, wise people have learned that there are shared symbolic images throughout different cultures. Any image of a woman tends to be, not any image, but images of the feminine, the divine feminine, have a certain meaning. Images of trees will have that sense of both being grounded through roots and
Mm,
connected to something greater through the leaves. Images of water, especially oceans, will um, help us to remember this sense of oneness and interconnectedness. Joseph Campbell was, the master at describing symbols and how cross cultures they are their guidance for us of something deeper and shared in humanity. And some cultures have unique images, but there are many images that go across cultures. But even within cultures, there are images, in the United States, the American flag is an image that is a shared image that we might give different meanings to, but it stirs something in our hearts. It's
mhm,
not neutral. It has a power to it. And so that might actually be, and I think you were alluding to it too when you were talking about designing and putting even small images in here, that's part of the magic, is the
mhm.
symbols there. Even if you don't notice them in your conscious mind, your unconscious mind can pick that up and go, "Oh, that I resonate with that. That lifts me, that inspires me and guides me."
Before we continue, if you'd like to explore the Edgewalker card deck for yourself, you can find it at the link in the show notes.
Because you are working so much with images, share why that was important to you to include in the cards.
Yeah. I love art and I love symbolism. And so my hope was, you know, if somebody pulled a card and for example, like this one here, this is passion and they see the little ladybug, maybe that's all they needed to see was the
Ah,
ladybug there. And then, if that was the first thing you honed in on, then maybe having some fun looking up like what is the spiritual meaning of a ladybug appearing for me and maybe getting a message in
uh-huh,
that way or utilizing AI or like you mentioned or just journaling about it. Pen to
mhm,
paper human picking that up. So that was
right,
my desire in putting those symbols in the deck and then really
mm,
letting the person that pulls the card determine what that means for them instead of
right,
saying what it means
uh-huh,
and having the affirmation there to guide or to maybe bring up more questions for the person
mhm.
to ponder. So
Well, here's another synchronicity with that. The card you just showed was based on an image from Janelle King, who's a member
mhm,
of our Edgewalker community. And when I pulled it yesterday, that
Oh
card.
my gosh, really? There we go.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's the kind of
goodness.
thing that keeps happening. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes when I pull a card in a meeting, someone else in that same meeting said, "I pulled that card today too." There's
Mm,
just these synchronicities that just give me energy and enthusiasm. It's, an affirmation we're on the right path. But what I did as soon as I pulled that card was I emailed Janelle because I haven't talked to her in like a year. And it's like, that was a message
mm,
for me to contact Janelle because she's a
yeah.
very special person.
Yeah, and I just had a vision with the white spider with all of the other spiders spreading out. I mean, that's how this deck can be with if
Mhm.
everybody has a deck and the more people that have the deck in their hands and there's all these little interconnections that are rippling out,
Mhm.
like that's amazing, right? Um
Mhm.
on another note, wondering what your advice is for someone listening that might feel just sort of exhausted or just really tired from from all the things kind of going on in the world right now. Um,
Yeah.
any words of inspiration or how maybe yeah, just any words of inspiration around that.
Yeah, and then we all have to keep inspiring ourselves and each other in order to carry on. One of the things in the cards is every one of those cards has something about light in
Mm,
it. And that theme throughout is a reminder that we are in dark times. These are very difficult times, and that it's tumultuous. This in Chinese astrology, this is the year of fire horse, where things are being destroyed, new things are being created, everything's happening faster than planning and logic can keep up with. And for me, the spiritual guidance I hold on to, one of the guidances comes from Course in Miracles. It says, "Choose love, not fear."
mhm,
And I think of the Celestine prophecy, and when there's two paths and one has more light, choose the path of light. And I think the cards remind us, choose the path of light. We're in the darkness, but it is evolutionary. It is a time of letting go of what doesn't work and choosing something at a higher level that does work, a higher vibration. And I do think that the cards, our Edgewalker community, lots of spiritual paths, that's what they're all about, is choosing light, choosing love, choosing the path of moving from a focus just on me and what I need, which is usually if it's fear, if I'm focusing on me, I'm fear centered. But if I focus on the oneness, my interconnection, I'm part of something greater. There's a community, there's something more meaningful emerging that I'm a part of. That's the path of light. That's the path of love. That's the path of interconnection. That's what I wanna remind people. What we're going through is temporary, and I really feel like edgewalkers, other people might call them wayfinders, or there's different names for people like us who really firmly grounded in making a difference in the world and firmly connected to something greater than ourselves. Those the edge between the spiritual and the practical are integrated. We are needed in this time because
mhm,
something new is going to come after this destruction. Something new it wants to be born. And so these affirmations and this community are here to help people get ready to be leaders. Uh, Already people are leaders, but to lead an even more visible and meaningful way as we move into what some people call the new era of well-being or the next era of harmony. That's what we're moving towards. And so for me, that's the spiritual advice is don't just get trapped in what you see on the news. That's not the whole reality. There's a bigger reality, and we need each other to remind ourselves of that.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah,
and you're
thank
welcome.
you.
And what would you share? You're also a mentor for me. How do you see these times and what's needed?
Yeah, I think it's the reminder for all of us to utilize tools such as the card deck or something else that might work for you to help you tap into that light,
Mhm.
like you mentioned in the imagery, because sometimes we can feel so exhausted or so like, oh my gosh, am I even making a difference with, like you said, with the news and everything that's going on, that then it feels like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not going to do that because it's pointless. Or like, what's that going to do? Things can feel so big that our ripple effect, we can start feeling like our ripple effect isn't going to make a difference. And so that's why I think it's important now more than ever for people to, no matter what your orientation to change is, for people to sort of explore the qualities and skills of an
Mhm.
edge walker and see I mean, we could definitely use more support, more reminders, and more people looking to the future with creative, positive visualization
Mhm.
and with vision, and then shaping the future in the way we want it to be, in that positive,
Mm.
generative way. So,
Yeah.
just from an educational standpoint alone, being an Edgewalker facilitator even, the deck does so much for me when I look at a skill or a quality and read the definition. It's like, okay, like
Mhm.
let's let's practice this today. It's a practice, it's a skill
Right.
building. Let's practice this. And somehow things do feel lighter. And so for me, it's
And
just
that's
the reminder that I need. It's the reminder maybe somebody listening needs for all of us.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, beautifully said. I think we all know this inside ourselves, but that
Mhm.
reminder is so important. And so I think there's meditation, there's various tools and assessments and coaching and these different approaches, and there's community. And
Mm.
so all of that, when you add it together, really supports being who we need to be in this new emerging world and getting through this tumultuous time.
Yeah. Well, Judy, I think you should do us the honor of pulling a message for everyone to send us
Uh,
off with some light today, for everyone
Wonderful.
listening. Yeah.
All right, love. So, what I will do, Amy, is I'll shuffle the cards until you say stop. So that way we're co-creating the energy of what card is pulled. So I'll just
Okay.
keep doing this till you say stop.
Stop.
Okay. I'm going to fan the cards out and feel for a card that wants to be pulled, but you tell me again when to stop as I'm fanning them.
Okay. Stop.
This card wants to come out. Passion.
Oh my gosh. I can't.
Okay.
I love it.
That's what happens. So the definition of passion is an intense focus on your purpose or the use of your gifts in a way that adds value to your life and to the world. And I do want to say part of the reason in that definition of to your life and the world is some people just follow their passion and don't think about impact. And that's okay, but it's a grander, more expansive way to think about your impact on the world. And some people think about only their impact on the world, but they don't feel necessarily the joy of living their passion and they deplete
Mm,
themselves. That actually is one of the reasons people will get drained out of energy is they give and give and give and they're not coming from their deepest passion and living their what's authentic for them. So the card here
Mhm.
It's actually based on another facilitator who's from India, Payal Kumar, and the affirmation for all of us now. I use my gifts daily in my life and work. I use my gifts daily in my life and work. Then the background are all kinds of feathers, peacock feathers.
Mhm.
So a fun thing might be to look up what is the symbology of the peacock. But certainly the idea of spreading out in joy your tail
Mm.
feathers, letting the world see your beauty. That's what comes up for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I clocked that peacock right away when you held the card up. And it's
Yeah.
the what are your gifts? Because it says I use my gifts daily in my life and work. And so,
Uh-huh.
honing in on the knowledge of what are these unique gifts that I have. There's that peacock,
Mm,
right? And let me not
yeah.
be afraid to use those and like spread my beauty out um
Yeah.
to make the world a better place. So,
Right.
I think that's a
Well,
perfect card to pull towards the end of our conversation. What were you gonna say, Judy?
I would say one of the things I do sometimes in coaching when someone has a symbol like peacock feathers, if it
Mhm.
really resonates, has lots of meaning and energy for them, then I suggest that they get it in physical form somewhere where they'll see it daily. So it might be just leaving this card out on the desk somewhere, but it
Mhm.
also might be getting a peacock feather and maybe putting it in a vase or pinching out a picture of a peacock tail in full bloom and putting it somewhere where remind you to use your gifts so that the physical form is part of manifesting. It's taking a spiritual idea and putting into physical form. And it doesn't matter how small it is that intention that moves us from idea to action that then has a positive impact. So
Mhm.
that would be if a client pulled this, that would be a suggestion I would give them.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Judy, thank you so much for
Oh,
joining me in this special episode talking about the magic of the Edgewalker deck. And I feel like this was way deeper than a deck as it is, but the deck is just sitting with all this imagery and magic and messages that, of course, it was a way deeper conversation. Um, any final words before we close out today for everyone listening?
I think my final word is there is truly magic in the world, and you must look for it because it's very subtle. It's usually, and believe it when you
Mm,
see it.
mm, thank you.
This has been such a joy, Amy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sending some magic to all of us, and we feel it and we see it and we believe it. If you want to explore the magic of the Edgewalker card deck, and see what special messages are hidden inside for you. You can find it at the link in the show notes or go to createmagicatwork.net and click on shop. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here as we explore what it really means to create magic at work. If this conversation resonated with you, or if someone came to mind while you were listening, share the episode with them. Help others who are looking for these types of conversations find us. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, rate, and review so you're notified when the next episode airs. Until next time, keep edgewalking, keep challenging the way things have always been done, and keep making magic at work.
Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to a Magic Thread Media podcast.